You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 278. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, author of How to Get On Podcasts, the podcast matchmaker, and CEO and founder of the MLG Collective. I'm excited to share the stories and life lessons of changemakers and authors with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and today we are talking all about the newest thriller novel, suspenseful novel, Sweet Fury with Sash Bischoff. Sash is absolutely adorable. I am in love with her, and I am in love with Sweet Fury. It is all about actress Lila Crane, and it plays in with F. Scott Fitzgerald's work and a therapist, and it's twisted and amazing, along with having elements of the Me Too movement and feminism and so much more. I loved getting to know Sash, and I know you will too. So get ready for an amazing conversation, and you definitely need to go pick up Sweet Fury. Hi, Sash.
Hi.
I'm so glad that I got to figure out your name before we started.
I am so excited to be talking with you. This is great.
The thrill is mine, honestly, and that we connected so quickly, and I'm like, hey, we're here now. I'm so excited. Can you introduce yourself to everyone, please?
Yes, I am Sash Bischoff, and I am the author of Sweet Fury, which came out yesterday, January 7th.
It is incredible. It's a lot of F. Scott Fitzgerald. So if you've read F. Scott Fitzgerald, then you will really be in love with this. It made me want to go back and read. And I was trying to rack my brain. I'm like, in high school, I was in honors English and AP English, but did we read any of his work? And I can't remember, but you make me want to go read it. Yeah, I'm like, I really don't remember.
Did you read Gatsby at some point?
I don't think so.
Oh, interesting. I feel like you're the first person I met who didn't have to read Gatsby in high school.
Maybe so. I feel like now you should probably get some royalties for whoever is now going to go seek out his work.
Please, I would be delighted. I'll take it.
Let's start off with that. What is your like of his work, and like why did that tie in so closely to your book?
Wow. I actually read Gatsby in high school, but I had never read any of his other books. I began writing this book with two ideas. I knew that I wanted to tell a story about a relationship between an actress and her therapist through the therapy notes. And then I knew the big final twist of the book. So I had a beginning and an ending, but I didn't know how to get from A to Z. And I submitted the first draft to my writers group. And when I did, this amazing novelist and my friend, Blair Hurley, said, the themes you're exploring and the characters are reminiscent of Tender is the Night. They're making a film in this book. What if it's an adaptation of Tender? And so she was the one who gave me the idea. And so I went home and I read Tender is the Night and thought, oh my gosh, this is a genius suggestion. And so then I went down this rabbit hole where I read literally everything that Fitzgerald ever wrote and almost every book that's ever been written about him. And that's when I realized, oh, my book should not just be in conversation with Tender. It should be in conversation with his works as a whole.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's like historical fiction plays out by, looking at his work and then bringing it to light today. Yeah. It was very reminiscent of, Hollywood and what we see with actors. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Thank you.
What did you do before this, before you wrote this incredible novel? Your debut, right?
Yeah. So I spent my entire life in theater. I grew up as an actor. I started acting when I was 6. I was extremely shy as a little kid and was that kid who, when a stranger would bend down to say hi, I would bury my face in my mom's thigh and like wouldn't look at them. And my mom was like, this has got to stop. She's like theater. And so she had me audition for a show and I got in. And I was a musical and I was in the ensemble. And then the show ended. My mom was like, great, you're like moving on. And I said, no, this is my passion. And so I began acting professionally from the age of 6. And I was acting in regional theater as well as community theater and children's theater. And then in high school, I grew up in San Diego and I would be driving up to LA regularly after school to audition for film and TV and meet with agents and, go to classes. And I got into directing in high school a bit as well. And then when it came time to choose colleges, I was sort of torn because I was so fixated on being an actor. And so I thought, well, to do that, I should really go the conservatory route. But at the same time, I had been writing my entire life. So I wrote my first little novel when I was 7 for fun. And I was like, I also really want to have a strong academic education. And ultimately ended up choosing Princeton because the creative writing department is just so amazing there. And I continued writing through college, but I was really focused on theater and directed more and more. By the end of college, I thought, for a number of reasons, but I thought, I think I want to pursue a career as a director full time and sort of press pause on acting. And so ever since I graduated in 2009, I have been working in New York professionally as a director, and I worked my way up the ladder and was working regularly on Broadway and off Broadway. I had a regular, my big job starting in 2018 all the way up to the pandemic was I was the associate director of Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway and the national tour, which meant that I was overseeing the whole show. It was a huge job and it was an incredible honor to do that job. And then, the pandemic happened and theater just disappeared. One day I was in rehearsal and I was putting in an actor for the show that night. And we got a call and the industry shut down. And I was, my whole career disappeared. And during, up until that time, I wrote a first real but very bad novel in college. And then while I was pursuing directing, I wrote a second novel that took me forever to write because it was secondary to my directing. But I sent it around and got some interest. It ultimately ended up not being the first novel that I would publish, which is for the best, for sure. But it gave me enough confidence to think, oh, maybe I'm not terrible. Maybe there's a possibility that I could be a writer. And so then when theater went away, I thought, well, I have to turn this into a positive situation. I have to sort of give this a shot and see.
I love that. And knowing that you're the director, I can feel that now coming through the book.
Yeah.
You write about this movie being made and there's direction being given, and having never been on a film set, you don't know what that's like as the reader myself. And I'm watching, I'm reading it, but I felt like I was there watching it all happen. And I'm like, oh, and then they're in your face with the camera and that's interesting. And they follow you and it's room to room. And so this, obviously that was a big part of you that was in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah, I definitely, I have a little experience in film and TV, but much more so in theater. So that was, a lot of that was, me researching and imagining, but I definitely have a very intimate knowledge of the dynamics between actors and directors and what it takes to sort of unpack a scene and then build it back together, and understanding sort of tension and action and conflict and, theatricality and stakes and pacing, all of these things really helped me, both in writing those scenes and in teaching myself how to write a suspense novel.
And you did good. I was telling you before we started, I want everyone to hear this too, is that I thought at a certain part that I knew what was going to happen. I was like, oh, I got this. I figured it out. I know what's happening to Lila Crane. I know what she did. I know what her whole purpose is. And then I turned the page and I went, oh no. Okay, did not see that coming.
Yeah. Music to my ears.
Were there any parts of the book that you wrote that you were like, wait, what happened there? How did I come up with that? Because I've talked to authors who are like, I don't know what happened. It just came out that way.
Well, I wrote a really detailed outline. I definitely have turned into a writer that really depends on an outline. It is completely like, you know, my baby blanket that I hold on to for comfort when I get lost. So I had a good sense of where the story was going. However, there was one big twist and one character that factors into the plot in a very surprising way towards the end that was not in the original story. So that is completely thanks to my genius agents who were like, this needs another twist. This, to make it really original, this needs another twist. And so it was through their pushing that I got that whole other layer.
And I'm guessing I know
I think
who
you
you're
probably
talking
know.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. At the very end, you're like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yes, I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. The one question I did have was the cameras that were in the apartment. I'm like,
Mhm.
they were recording, were they not? I don't know. And we don't want to give away spoilers, but I'm going, something had to be recording something else. Like,
I don't think in my head they weren't on.
okay. I figured somebody was planning something along the
Yeah.
way, and I'm like, yeah, it was.
I love that though. I love when like people get into the nitty gritty of like, but what about this?
There was another part where I thought, oh, you know what? He's just going to lose it, and I think he's just going to jump. That was something else that I thought.
Good.
Yeah,
Like,
oh, he's just gonna, because that would just be like not for the best. I don't want to say that, but like in the book, I'm
yeah.
not talking real life, people.
Yeah.
In the book, you're like, oh, that would just kind of solve it. But
And
no,
yeah. Well, and in the previous scene, Lila kind of suggests that possibility that in the film that the character, so anyway,
yeah.
I'm getting too spoilery, but yes, I'm glad that you thought that.
But it is so good that you have to go read it, and then you will understand and be like, oh, yes, what they were talking about. I get it. And I also feel like you brought in the Me Too movement. And so I appreciate that you talked about it. You showed what that is like. What was that? Obviously it was intentional. What was behind your thought and your intention in including that part of the book and of the film industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Me Too movement, there are a lot of books about the Me Too movement, and a lot of revenge books about the Me Too movement. And so I was trying to do something a little bit new. And I also feel like this book is specifically set in the aftermath of the Me Too movement. Um, I think one of the most important things to me in writing this book was to avoid telling a story that felt black and white. I really wanted everything and everyone in this world to live in the gray area because that feels most honest to my experience of life. And so all of these characters, nobody is an explicit hero, nobody's an explicit villain. Everyone is a limited and flawed human being. Uh, the title of the third section of my book is a quote from Tender as a Night, which is, we must all try to be good. And there are a number of reasons I chose that quote, but one of them is that all of the characters in the book are, to varying degrees, to the best of their ability, trying to do the right thing. So in terms of the Me Too movement, it's a big question, and I don't want to reveal too much about my book, but um, I think that our country's justice system is deeply flawed, and I don't know what adequate reparations look like for victims of sexual assault. I wonder if they even exist. But I know that if the system is broken because usually it's men, with sexual assault, um, continue to get away with these crimes over and over again, and they continue to be elevated to positions of power and influence and respect because of our priorities in our culture. But the sort of new idea that I try to bring up in my book is that this pervasive cultural misogyny is everywhere in our culture. It is impossible to avoid. And because we are living and breathing that air, sometimes a woman can also be guilty of condoning or even perpetuating the misogyny, perhaps to get ahead herself or to hold on to her tenuous position. And under the right circumstances, a woman could be guilty of committing the same atrocities or even worse as those that a man might commit.
I completely agree. Yes, and I have a lot of feelings, and
It's a big subject. Yeah.
yeah, because it encompasses so much. It's not just sexual assault that it encompasses. Like I really feel that if we as women came together collectively and took a stand on quite literally everything, it would all be different. It would be completely different. But since there is a portion who perpetuate it, who sit back and are okay with it, who turn a blind eye to it, it continues, and we don't see change.
Yeah, there are very different, generations of. One of the things that I try to portray in the book is 3 different generations of women, and the different definitions of feminism and how it's sometimes misused and abused. Um, there are a number of characters in this book that like to think themselves a feminist. And in my opinion, they may not be at all, so it's also digging into that question a bit more of what is true feminism? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Oh, I love that. And I'm thinking about Layla's mom, and like,
Yeah, exactly.
she's just she's a hot mess.
But
She's
so
like some
fun.
badass. Yeah, I just see her drinking her martini, and she's got her puffy eye things on, and a long silk robe, and like running the world. That's just how she is and who she is. And then we have to, I read on your website that somebody asked you the question, or it was like a book club question of which character would you like to in real life, like hang out with? And you said Maggie. And I was like, yeah, Maggie's like the sole person that you can't not like in the book.
Yeah.
She's the one true good person.
Don't give too much away. But yes, I agree. I love Maggie.
You're like, I want to have her over for a cup of tea and be like, it's okay.
She's a really good person, and she is definitely more in line with what I think of when I think of feminism.
Yes. And then now that I'm thinking about Maggie and I'm thinking about the paintings, then I think about the twins in their yellow coats, and it was so good. Obviously, I read it.
Yes, you did. Closely,
like,
clearly.
Let me pull out all of the little people. It's fresh in my mind since I just finished it a few days ago, so it's perfect. I don't have to pull back in the vault of going, wait, what?
Oh, that must be hard. I feel like my memory is terrible. I would not be able to do your job. I would forget the book.
Somehow I remember. So we're good. Yeah. Do you have more plans of writing more?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get a 2-book deal with Simon and Schuster, and so I've already written the next book. It is it is a very messy draft. It needs a lot of edits. So it'll take some time, but I am so excited about it. I love it. So I'm deep in that.
And then is this the new path for you, or are you going back to directing? What does current career look like? Future career look like?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm in the extremely lucky position to be writing full time as a career. I mean, that is so rare, and I am just so thankful, and I really, really love it. And I'm trying to take good advantage of it. But so right now it's full-time writing. I did get to record the audiobook myself of Sweet Peary, which
Isn't that
was
fun?
oh my gosh, it was so fun, but also one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I went in being like, I've acted, I got this, and it is not the same as acting at all. It is really, really intense and exhausting. But I loved it so much, and I am so happy that I did it, and definitely want to do it for all of my books going forward. That felt like a really full circle moment, because I hadn't acted in 15 years really. And so now, being able to tap into that again, get that satisfaction and doing that with my work felt really special. And then, in terms of theater, I don't know. I've pressed pause on it for now. We'll see. But I have dreams one day of sort of braiding it all together of, if there are adaptations in the future, one day being able to, write and direct, that's all sort of the pieces of my life coming together. That's the pipe dream.
I see it. I see the option. This is like a Netflix or Apple series.
Oh,
Like it
thank
doesn't
you.
have to be just a film one and done.
Yeah.
You can continue on. I see it. I've got it in my head. Like it can be done. It will be done. And I have
Please
to put it
dream
into
to
the
the
universe.
universe.
I loved
Oh,
recording mine, and the
you
best
did that
way
too.
I did. The audio engineer was like, "No, there," and mine's nonfiction, so it's not
Mhm.
like there's acting or whatnot. It
Okay.
was like, "I need you to be more Hollywood there."
Like, let me just put on my accents.
Yeah, he's like, "No, chew them out, do something, get harsh, do this." I'm like, "Oh, okay." It was so much fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I'm like, "Give me more of those." But I podcast, so it's like the same thing.
Yeah, so you're a pro. You get it. I was such a newbie.
No, but it's so different when you're doing it for so many hours at a time and
Yeah.
you're stuck in a booth,
Oh my gosh.
like,
It's a
that
weird
is it.
experience. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like on full vocal rest when I wasn't recording because I was so exhausted and like my voice would go if I didn't, and had all of my little tricks and my, bone broth that I was sipping and my teas and I mean I look like an insane person.
I only had 2 days in the studio to get it all done.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I flew down to LA and I had apples with me and like I had everything because I'm like, I don't have time to go to the store and tea and sprays and lozenges and
Yeah.
everything. And yeah, it's a hot mess. And yeah,
It's
it
glamorous.
was so fun. Yeah. Totally glamorous with pillows and, towels and
Yeah, my friend recorded an audiobook when she was pregnant and she had to have a pillow over her belly because of the baby. It's so cute.
because it picks up
It can take
everything.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple times where my stomach growled and we're like, "Oh, sorry." Yeah. I guess we need to cut and go back for my stomach. Yeah. Oh my goodness, this is so much fun.
Yeah, you become very
So
aware of the body.
yes, yes, and you're like, "Oh, it makes weird noises that I didn't realize." So embarrassing. Stranger man that I don't know, but
Yeah.
man who knows you intimately.
Really? So funny. It's so true.
So
Uh,
now you're going on tour,
mhm.
and where are you going and what are you doing? How long is this for?
Oh, it's so exciting. So tomorrow I have my big kickoff launch event in the city in Brooklyn at Greenlight Bookstore. And then on Friday I fly off and I start um in the Bay Area and then I go to LA. Fingers crossed that they're okay. And then Santa Barbara, San Diego, Arizona, couple trips to Chicago. And we'll see from there.
All the fun cities, my favorite
Yeah.
cities.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
And then, so when do we hope the next book comes out?
Oh,
Now that you've had the first baby, when's the next one
I
coming?
know. I know. Like, give my body some time. I need to learn to walk again. Um, I don't know. I mean, I have a due date into my editor next year. So I maybe 27, 28, something like that, a few years.
So you've got some time. It's not that you
Yeah.
have to pump one out every year,
Yeah.
which is
I'm
crazy.
very, very grateful for that. I think I need that time to make it good. It wouldn't be as good if I rushed it.
And are you sticking to suspenseful thriller stuff, or are we going to see something different?
Yeah, it's a little less thriller, like strictly thrillery, I would say, at least at this stage. I think I'm moving more towards my idol Donna Tartt in terms of literary suspense. But what I can tell you, I don't have a slick elevator pitch yet for it, but it is set on an island off the northeast coast of America, and it's told over the course of multiple generations. And it's in large part about the climate crisis. And what you eventually learn over the course of the story is that it is a feminist adaptation of a Greek tragedy.
I love it. Look at you. This is why you went to Princeton. You're a tad cookie.
I don't know. I do some pretty dumb things.
Well, I don't think they let just anyone come into Princeton. I'm just saying. I didn't apply, so I wouldn't know, but I would have probably been rejected.
I mean, I went through Princeton feeling like the dumbest person there. So I had total imposter syndrome. There are a lot of smart people at Princeton.
You know what's funny is I had Lauren Ling Brown on
recently
as well. And so hearing about these food clubs, dinner clubs.
The eating clubs, yes.
The eating clubs, yes. I'm like, I had never heard about these. And you have an element in your book too, and the secret societies. I'm like, well, these are all coming out of the woodwork, I feel, unless I've been living under a rock, because, you know, you could ask your husband, because we went to school at the same schools. So Santa Barbara didn't have eating clubs. Jack Johnson referenced our cafeteria on campus in a song, but that's as far.
Oh, he did? Oh, that's cool.
Did, yeah. Yeah, when you eat at the DLG, something like that.
Oh my gosh, claim to fame. Yeah, eating clubs are definitely like a long-held institution at Princeton, but they're, you know, a weird anomaly. Like they're super weird and they don't exist anywhere else, I don't believe. But the secret society in my book is definitely real.
Some weird, yeah, it explains so much in our country, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, indeed.
It's like a Pandora's box, I think, just opening that, and yeah, so many more thoughts on that one.
I know it's so tough to talk about without giving up spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to give spoilers, and you know, I don't want to be all mean about our country, but
I know what I'm drawing down, and I'm on your level. I get it.
Oh my gosh, I like you. I feel like we could totally just hang out together and have a cocktail. And yes, it's only 9:30 in the morning, but I'm like, yeah, let's have a cocktail together.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? After like the past 24 hours of my life with the book around, I'm like, give me a cocktail anytime.
I'm ready. Love it.
Ivy.
Oh my gosh, you are such a delight. It's so much fun to have gotten to read your book. I loved it. And then to meet you, and you're just friendly and sweet and adorable. And
thank you.
Yeah, let's be friends in real life, okay?
Yes, please. Thank you so much. This is so fun.
Can you tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, and learn more about your book tour, so they can go stalk you in a good way?
Yes, please. Good stalking only. Yes, I am Sash Bischoff, and you can find me on Instagram. I'm very active at sash.bischoff. And my website is sashbischoff.com, and it has all of my information about the tour stops and links to get your seats.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Michelle. So good to talk to you.
I absolutely love that we can enjoy an entertaining book that has different elements that make you really think. Elements that come into play with what we're experiencing every day in our lives, what we see playing out on television, in the news, everywhere you're looking, and it really makes you think. So definitely pick up Sweet Fury, not just to be entertained, but to get another look or perspective on what you see going on in today's world, because it is enlightening, it is eye-opening, and I know you're going to have many thoughts on it, just as I have. I loved getting to know Sash, and I know you will love getting to read Sweet Fury. So go pick it up today and enjoy it, and reach out to Sash. Let her know, because she would love to hear from you, and I know she'll share whatever you post too.